It's the next day, and this was allowed to set up overnight. It is a really rainy morning here in the Grove, but we'll forge ahead. So, had a night to let this set up. It seems pretty strong. I think I might wipe this with some Goo Gone or acetone or something like that. But some lessons learned. First of all, the epoxy is still kind of tacky in places, and it's supposed to be a 6-minute epoxy. So I think when I mixed it, I didn't mix enough of the hardener. So lessons learned, I'm going to try to make sure I get equal amounts of the epoxy and hardener. I'm going to try to mix it a lot better before I apply it. And then I think I'm going to make a fixture to hold this in place, because the other clamping things that I used kind of didn't really work very well. So I've got 3 more of these L's, and then I've got the 2 squares to put together once the L's are done. So let me work on a little fixture right now. So the idea I have is to get kind of a board here, and then I'm going to cut out the plywood so that I can wipe this off. Alright, so let's cut that out. So something kind of like this. And this one sort of right here. I'm going to make sure that this is 90. And then if I have my piece here, then when I clamp it up, I can actually wipe this off all the way around. I think that might be perfect. So then let's do this. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see if this is going to work. So we have this here. If I had something like this, and then I don't know, what would I do? You could probably just push it this way and clamp it, and then push it this way and clamp it. I don't even think I actually need a clamp this way. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so let's try out a new piece. All right, it's kind of nice. I have a nice flat surface to work here, and I don't really care if I mar this up at all. Okay, another lesson learned: clean off your popsicle stick. I didn't do that, and it was kind of a pain. Okay, so let's try this one more time. Okay, now I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to put this together. Put this here. And before too long, I'm going to clean out my popsicle stick. I'm going to clamp. Ooh. Hmm. There's a little bit of a gap in here. How can that happen? Oh, there we go. Just needed a little bit of encouragement. Boy, that closed it right up. Nice. And then I can just pivot the whole thing so I can see under here. Clean that up. That looks pretty good. And we'll just leave that to dry. It's going to take a while, kind of doing them one at a time, but I got time. And then I think the cool part is that once I get the L's all done, then I can probably come back and use the same fixture and like put this corner over here and glue them up. Maybe what I can do is make a cutout here too. Yeah, I'll make a cutout here too so that I can also clean this section. Yeah, okay. Neat. All right, so let's let that set up and then I think we're in business. I made some modifications to the fixture. I cut off some extra pieces that I didn't really need just to make this a little bit smaller. And then I cut out a little piece here in anticipation for when I am gluing up the complete rectangle. So when I glue this up, it will go there so I can wipe the glue, and then if I turn this 90 degrees, I can still wipe it off in here. Another thing that I decided to do was in the plan, if you look at the magazine plan right here, you'll see that they have a piece of wood that goes inside here like this. And this is fine for this piece because it slips in there and there's a lot of meat for it to grab onto, but this just has this little triangle. So what I did is I cut these little pieces and I'm going to glue together into like a little L, and then wait for those to dry, and then I'll put those in the corner. So that'll give me a lot more strength, and also when I put the feet on, I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of wood in there to mount the feet. The other thing I did is the stretchers have a plate that's going to go on the end here. But before I did the plates, I cut some of these, which I kind of want to put in here and all the way down till it's flush. And that will give me a lot more gluing surface for this flat plate. But I have to make 4 flat plates for the stretchers, the 2 top and the 2 bottom. Actually, it's more than that. Hold on. So these pieces will go in there, glue in, and give the this flat plate a lot more surface. And I'm going to show you how I made the flat plates right now. So this is kind of my scrap piece that I'm using for all the little odds and ends that I need. And obviously this is going to be 1 inch wide, so it's going to fit on the width. And we just need to mark the length at 1 3/8, which is right about here. Draw a straight line. And out of this piece, I'm going to cut that out of this piece. I'm going to be able to get 2 of the end caps out of each one. So I'll need to make several of these. Well, and I don't know if any of you noticed, but sure getting a lot of use out of these sawhorses. They are great, really sturdy, and put them into service right away. It's been really nice. So the best way that I found is to use a little sacrificial piece that I put in here and then actually cut it with the hacksaw. That's kind of the best way that I found to do this. Then this kind of supports, the wood kind of supports the aluminum. And then I'm just going to put the hacksaw blade right inside the material along this piece of wood. So then my idea, put this inside here, and then my little plate will be glued right on there. And then once the glue is dry, I'll probably come back and shape it a little bit with the file, but I think that's going to look really nice as far as a dressy end cap. So we're making some pretty good progress on the base for our table. A couple of things that I learned. I glued up some of them, the box sections. I had put that corner piece in there where I glued a little ear on there. So now it's a nice 90 right in each corner, which is really nice. And I tried kind of gluing them up using clamps, and it seemed like when I did that, it would kind of do more harm than good. It would seem like it would push it out of square because the glue doesn't really require pressure. It's a epoxy, so it just cures. It doesn't really need, to be clamped together. And I was having a problem with it, not quite meeting in the corners and things like that. So what I learned is that I had a lot better luck with just taping it. I just pushed the corner together with the wood block in there and lots of epoxy, and then just tape it. And I got really nice corners that way. And it just had to hold it until it dried. So it didn't really need a lot of pressure or anything like that. So the box sections are done. The next thing I need to do is cut out the sections here that will go into the box sections. And the idea that I came up with was, first of all, I wanted to put a little angled piece, so when I put my plates on, I have some more to glue to rather than just the edges of this metal right here. So I came up with these pieces, and they were kind of long. They were kind of too long. I was going to cut them off to be like this big. And then I figured, well, why don't I just make them longer? And then when I glue this up, it'll have the wood in there, and then that'll give me more glue surface for it. And then the other thing that I thought is I was going to cut this first and then cut the pieces of wood after. And I thought, that's kind of dumb. Why don't I just put these in here and glue them nice and flush, let it dry, and then I'll come back and cut this out later, and I can cut the metal and the wood all at the same time. I also got the idea from the tape to tape these together so I can gang cut them 2 at a time, which is going to save some money. It doesn't really have to be that tight. I was going to clamp it, and I thought I'll just put tape. So that's going to kind of work good. I'll put those two there in that section, glue that in. And then I went ahead and did that with the shelf support. This is the top support. I glued these in, and then I ran them through with the chop saw, and then also with the table saw, and then finished it up a little bit with some hand filing until that fit really nicely. So that's actually all glued up and ready to go. I could probably take this tape off and glue on my plates, but that's really ready to go. You may see this kind of looks weird, but that's the way the plan is. The bottom, this is the bottom for the shelf support, and the box sections go right up against here. Look at the plan a little bit, and you can kind of see how it is. I didn't think that was right at first, but then later on I looked at it closely and I said, okay, that's the way it is. And then these are inset a little bit, so the supports for the top kind of extend out a little bit farther. So let's go ahead, and I can probably glue these pieces in here, and then I can take this off and glue my flat plates on here. I don't see any reason why I couldn't do that now. And that's what we'll do. The other thing that I kind of need to decide right now, this is just a scrap piece that I'm using to kind of play around with setups and things like that. And I got to decide if I'm going to go with the natural finish and just try to clean these marks off, or I think in the plan they actually sanded it all with a kind of a 220. So I want to see what that looks like if I sand this sample piece and see if I like it. All right, so this is just a 120. Probably not the right one either, but let's see what it looks like. So I spent probably a minute, 2 minutes maybe, sanding this piece. And it does have kind of a nice finish, but man, that's gonna be a lot of work. If I decide to do the whole thing like that, man, that's gonna be a lot. So, not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Let's work on gluing these pieces in here. Here we go. We'll just let that dry.